A new console generation is an exciting time for the future of games. From flashy but safe shooters and action-adventure experiences to obscure but well-designed titles that solely exist to showcase new hardware. A console's launch window needs forward-thinking, visually appealing, and enticing software to ensure a strong launch. In 2013, during Sony's PlayStation 4 reveal, one of their standout launch titles was set to be Driveclub. But within a few short years, Driveclub went from a promising new franchise to this.
Sony has confirmed the closure of Evolution Studios, creators of MotorStorm and Driveclub.
This is the story of Driveclub, the racer meant to ride the wave of a new and exciting generation of connected social games, but ultimately crashed at the finish line, leading to its studio's collapse and changing the way we look at connected games forever. Evolution Studios is notable for their well-received and popular PlayStation racing series, World Rally Championship and MotorStorm. So naturally they would be the perfect fit for the next generation of arcade racing games on Sony's new console.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a thrill for a studio to be asked to help define new PlayStation technology so that we can finally bring our vision for team-based racing to life.
When we first found out about PlayStation 4 and the features of the platform, we were really pleasantly surprised that they completely synced up with what we had in mind for Driveclub. It was almost a perfect storm, if you like. We had this desire to return back to realistic racing. We had this new hardware platform. It was just nice to finally align with both the platform and our own desires as a studio and try and kind of bring that game to life.
We have a game called Driveclub.
Yeah, and the big pitch behind Driveclub is exactly this: the dashboard that you're seeing here, the big social features, events, challenges, all sorts of stuff that you can just at any time jump in, dig into these menus, go here, hey, club invitation, I can join this club.
So
how? Here's all the events in that club.
Right. If you're a hardcore racing fan who owns multiple systems, so in other words, if you have an Xbox, this stuff will actually remind you a lot of Forza Motorsport.
Totally.
And that's not to say, oh, this is just the PlayStation 4's version of Forza. I'm not saying that at all. But these social features are definitely reminiscent of that, where it's, the idea is seeing events that your friends are doing, you're trying to beat their times, you're connecting with them in car clubs, which is really cool stuff.
With Driveclub, Evolution Studios set out to bring the same competitive team-based gameplay from Call of Duty to an arcade racer. And while the idea of a fully connected social experience within a game may not seem too groundbreaking now, at the time, Evolution Studios was treading into uncharted territory.
What we want to achieve with Driveclub is basically a game which transcends the standard racing experience. We want to make it so that it's motivated and driven by the community itself. So it's very much a case of players getting involved, creating their own events, and actually building a community around the tools that we offer them.
Until then, racing games were a more linear experience. Sure, you could race online or competitively in a co-op setting, but races were missing the progression and community-driven experiences one would find in shooters and MMOs.
I think the push towards the social side, the connected side of things for Driveclub certainly hampered it.
This is Luke Riley. He's one of IGN's review editors, and if you've followed any of our racing game coverage in the past, you've probably read or heard something from him. He also reviewed Driveclub back in 2014.
It was a really early example of one of those games as a service, and ultimately, down the track, they made a pretty good fist of it. Once they got the game going, it's hard because you need to innovate, especially in the racing space. We're talking about a genre that's steeped in 4 or so decades of history, and you want to make a splash in racing, you've got to innovate, you've got to do something.
By building a new and accessible arcade racing game that looked incredible and featured many ambitious and forward-thinking ideas, Sony and Evolution Studios had positioned Driveclub to become the flagship title for the launch of the next generation of PlayStation consoles and online experiences.
I'm happy to announce that when PS4 launches, the PlayStation Plus members will get immediate free access to Driveclub PS Plus Edition as part of the Instant Gamers collection. Driveclub PS Plus Edition is a huge AAA title that combines incredible fidelity and driving mechanics with innovative social integration. It's the perfect game for the Instant Game Collection because the social capabilities foster vibrant communities.
While hopes were high for this racer, things were quick to go off course.
Damon here with unfortunately another game delay. Sony has confirmed that Driveclub has been delayed to 2014. Driveclub was supposed to launch alongside the PlayStation 4. Instead, a new title will be added to the Instant Game Collection at launch to compensate gamers. Sony Worldwide Studios boss and friend of IGN, Shuhei Yoshida, explains Driveclub will be a truly innovative, socially connected racing game, but the team requires more time in order to deliver on their vision. And I'm fully confident the game will surpass your expectations. Now, this does affect PlayStation Plus members' Instant Game Collection for the PS4 launch. Yoshida says the Driveclub PS Plus edition will still be part of the Instant Game Collection when it is eventually released. But at launch, in addition to the IGN-endorsed Resogun, now you'll be getting Contrast instead of Driveclub. Yoshida says, "We understand that the delay is disappointing news, but can assure you that the reason we have made this decision is to ensure that when Driveclub launches, it will realize the next-gen racing vision."
While a short delay isn't abnormal in video games, this was just the beginning of a multi-year tailspin for Driveclub and its studio.
IGN recently spoke to Sony's Scott Rode, one of the people in charge of Sony's family of first-party studios, about the status of the missing racing game. He told us the Driveclub team had to go back to the drawing board.
The development of Driveclub was turbulent at best, and quickly went from an exciting look into the future of PlayStation to something that might not be able to deliver on what was promised a year prior.
Sony has promised the Driveclub is making spectacular progress and hopes to announce a release date in the coming weeks. The PS4 exclusive was discussed in a statement issued to Video Gamer, in which Sony responds to concerns over recent layoffs at Evolution and the news that the game director departed the studio last month. Development of Driveclub on PS4 is going from strength to strength. The announced studio changes across WWS yesterday have not affected the development of Driveclub or the Driveclub team. We have full confidence that the game will deliver on its PS4 promise to be the first truly socially connected racing title, and we are very pleased and excited by the caliber of work from Evolution Studios. The progress being made on the game is spectacular, so we're looking forward to sharing an update on development, release date, and videos of the game in action in the weeks to come. We thank you for your patience and assure you it will be worth the wait. Originally planned to be a launch title alongside the PS4 in North America and Europe, Driveclub was delayed to early 2014. When asked about why this happened, Worldwide Studios boss Shuhei Yoshida explained it had to do with complications surrounding implementation of the game's ambitious social features. The game also missed launching alongside the PS4 in Japan on February 22nd. When we asked Sony about this, we received the following statement: "The team at Evolution Studios are working hard to bring Driveclub a truly next-gen driving experience to PS4, and we will announce the release date shortly. We're really excited about how Driveclub is progressing, and thank you for your patience."
After the departure of studio director Cole Rogers and some unrelated layoffs, Evolution Studios had been forced to return to the drawing board with Driveclub. While only a little is known about why this happened, losing a key member of development is never a good sign.
Rode explained it all comes back to that fundamental principle, and that's that we want to build great games. And we really don't want to release a game before it's ready. And sometimes this happens in the normal course of business, where we think we're on track to deliver what we think is going to be a great game, but when we get closer, we realize that we'd be doing everyone a disservice if we shipped it before it was ready. So I think that at PlayStation, perhaps more than other places, we're willing to kind of eat that cost and go back to the drawing board and make sure the game is great before we ship it. And that's what's going on right now with that game.
Still, Sony stayed optimistic and assured IGN that the game was making progress and would be back on track in no time.
Driveclub may be released on April the 9th if a message reportedly tweeted by Evolution Studios is to be believed. A PlayStation Nation user called 100 miles an hour posted a screen grab of the supposed tweet, which was then allegedly deleted. Now, while the tweet reads, "Mark your calendars 9th to the 4th, 14, the assumption is that this refers to April the 9th rather than September the 4th, as Evolution Studios is a British-based developer. We've been unable to verify the tweet's legitimacy, but have reached out to Sony and will update as soon as we hear back." Originally planned to be a launch title alongside the PS4 in North America and Europe, Driveclub was delayed to early 2014. When asked about why this had happened, Worldwide Studios boss Shuhei Yoshida explained that it was to do with complications surrounding implementation of the game's ambitious social features. The game also missed launch alongside the PS4 in Japan on February the 22nd. When we asked Sony about this, we received the following statement: "The team at Evolution Studios are working hard to bring Driveclub, a truly next-gen driving experience, to PS4, and we will announce the release date shortly. We're really excited about how Driveclub is progressing, and thank you for your patience."
After a few bumps in the road, things were looking up for Driveclub. But like in racing, things can go from good to bad in no time.
Just when you thought the Driveclub story couldn't get worse.
Driveclub comes out today, but its free PlayStation Plus version does not.
President of Sony Worldwide Studios, Shuhei Yoshida, said the PS Plus version of Driveclub was postponed until further notice.
While the game received decent reviews and its initial sales were good, Driveclub's server issues, low frame rate, and a lack of a meaningful PlayStation Plus edition seriously hampered the game's success.
That said, the technicals of Driveclub can grip tight if you get invested in the asynchronous challenges, and it's very much geared around encouraging us to hop online and compete by making it so easy.
At the time, I admired a lot about Driveclub. It was the best looking racing game I'd ever seen on a console, and I liked a lot about it, but it was just a little more conventional than I guess some of its rivals at the time. Obviously, Forza Horizon was making big waves at the time, and had a huge open world. Where they were pushing was their live service and how the game was going to get, there's always going to be stuff to do, and they really encourage you to be online. And that's what was frustrating for me. At the time of review, everything worked fine. There wasn't a lot of stress on the game. Everything kind of functioned. I could see where Evolution were heading. I could see where the online functionality was pivoting towards. And then the game came out and it collapsed under the strain. Well, yeah, the rest is history.
Sony has confirmed its delay in the free PS Plus version of Driveclub in the face of ongoing server issues. Developer Paul Rostchinsky has penned a lengthy explanation for the decision, explaining the studio needs to deliver a smooth experience for those who've purchased the game already before risking destabilizing things further. With Driveclub, we are dedicated to delivering a dynamic and socially connected racing game that everyone can enjoy. And along the way, we're facing new challenges which we haven't encountered as a development team before, he writes. We are seeing a lot of activity and new social behaviors right now, but unfortunately this is pushing the servers to their absolute limits. In order to help all players who already have the game, we're temporarily holding back the PS Plus edition and the My Driveclub app to ease the load and traffic to the servers. This should give players a better chance of connecting to the game servers, and once they're operating well, we'll be sure to let you know when the PS Plus edition and the app will be available to download.
Server issues had plagued the racer and made the game almost unplayable for many, and its technical shortfalls proved to damage any chance of the game's successful launch. On a statement from the game's official Facebook page, Evolution had to address the server issues and the fact that new players couldn't log into the game to enable any of its online features due to limited space and a very long queuing system. In case you don't already know, the servers are up and running, but they're hitting their performance limits, so they won't accept new connections until one of the current online players frees up their space, allowing another player to join in their place, which happens automatically and player selection is random. If and when you get online, you should not have any connectivity issues during the remainder of your session. When you finish and disconnect, you'll free up a space for someone else. This is obviously not ideal, especially given that there are a lot of players waiting to connect, but that's how it's working right now. This was followed by another delay on many of the game's online features and the PlayStation Plus edition.
Contrary to what you may have heard as recently as yesterday, Sony says it is still committed to bringing the PlayStation Plus version of Driveclub to your living room. A Sony spokesperson told Eurogamer that the company is, quote, continually working on improving the server capacity to enable us to launch the PS Plus edition as quickly as possible. In an interview with Metro yesterday, Sony Computer Entertainment Europe president and CEO Jim Ryan said that's still being looked at when asked about whether the PS Plus version of Driveclub was still planned.
Even though Driveclub's launch was troubled and rife with issues and public statements, by the spring of 2015, things have been looking up for the ambitious arcade racer. Sales were up, people were enjoying the game, and its excellent photo mode and the long-promised PlayStation Plus edition had finally launched.
After some serious launch issues, Driveclub should be working normally this week. Developer Evolution Studios said, quote, we're still improving server performance to get all of you enjoying full online connectivity together, but the majority of Driveclub players should now be able to connect and play online. Expect more server updates over the weekend to seal the deal. Hopefully.
Unfortunately, more than 2 million copies sold, a bike expansion, and a free PS Plus edition just wasn't enough to save Driveclub and its studio.
UK-based Evolution Studios, who made Driveclub, has experienced an unspecified number of layoffs. Sony issued a statement to IGN claiming the layoffs were part of a restructuring effort as the Driveclub developer moves forward with developing the racing game into a service, specifically its PlayStation Plus edition. Quote, Evolution Studios will now focus on Driveclub as a service going forward, in particular the important launch of the PS Plus edition. We will be restructuring Evolution Studios to ensure that SCEWWS, and in particular Evolution Studios, are in the best position to achieve these goals. Our first-party development studios are key to our creative strategy, and we are very excited about the future projects being worked on and the role Evolution Studios will play.
In early 2015, Evolution Studios was hit with layoffs, and shortly after, the studio was shut down.
Sony has confirmed the closure of Evolution Studios, creators of Motorstorm and Driveclub. Last year, the developer was hit with layoffs that affected 55 people. Sony recently decided to make the rest of the staff redundant. Sony said in a statement, where possible, we will try to reallocate people onto other projects. If appropriate opportunities are not possible within the company, we will assist staff in any way we can, including speaking with local employers and with other development companies. Drive Club game director Paul Ruszczynski issued a statement on Twitter following the announcement, saying in part, "I hope you will join me today in celebrating Evolution by picking up a pad, throwing on your favorite Evo game, and giving us a victory lap."
While the game was still a success on paper, Drive Club didn't capture the hearts and minds of many gamers in the way that Sony had anticipated, and in March 2020, its servers were officially shut down as well. What was once seen as a vanguard for a new generation of PlayStation racing games was nothing more than another bullet in a long list of failed IP, which unfortunately isn't uncommon in the games industry.
You know, there's gremlins that get under the hood of your video game, and if it was, you know, clicking your fingers and fixing it was the solution, then I'm sure they would have done that. Obviously, it was a lot more cumbersome and tricky than that, but you know, that's games.
Drive Club most likely won't be coming back anytime soon, but its forward-thinking, community-driven experiences have helped carve its own chapter in the early years of the PlayStation 4, well after their race was over.